Welcome to Tequila and Terror, a paranormal and true crime podcast where we will drink tequila and tell terrible tales. My name is Keisha and I will be telling paranormal stories, and Wes will cover true crime.
How's it going, everybody?
Welcome to episode 6. Episode 6.
We're pretty sure it's episode 6.
we
have consumed booze once again. So
sorry, guys.
It's
bad.
just
going to go downhill from here. It's fine.
But
it's okay.
Thanks for listening if you still are. I guess you are.
We really appreciate you all.
Yeah. And to the people in Australia, that no sarcasm, that's really awesome.
Yeah, we thought that was pretty cool.
We usually have a midweek slump, and the people in Australia completely blew the slump away. So
they were slump defeaters.
Yeah, so
slump battles.
That was awesome. I like Australia. Maybe we can do an all Australian episode one time. Like, I can find an Australian killer, and you could probably find an Australian ghost.
Yeah, or a couple.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, that's cool, but thanks. A lot of this story is from a journal that the lady named Christina Riggs kept in prison. And I also found a lot about it from an online law journal. This case happened in Arkansas. It started in Oklahoma and moved into Arkansas. So that's how I heard a lot about it. It was in the local news. But
not to triangulate our location or anything.
Yeah. It's pretty easy to find out where we're from. All you gotta do is search for the name of the show when our names pop up.
Oh,
so
yeah. I forgot about that.
It's not too hard. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But I'm sorry because there's pretty much no humor in this story. And it involves young children. So if you're sensitive to that, I'd probably just go ahead and stop listening now.
Yeah. Fast forward to the last 4 minutes where you can hear all of our social media and me talk about my drink.
Or if you just want to pretend like we did that already. I don't know. But
go.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do it and see how it goes. Because my research showed that more people wanted to know more details.
Okay.
Instead of Speedy, so.
Give me all the details then.
Okay. Well.
Then
I do declare.
There I go, being more southern.
Yeah. But Christina Riggs lived most of her life in Oklahoma City. Her stepbrother sexually abused her from age 7 to 13.
Oh, poor baby.
At 13, she was also abused by a neighbor. Within a year, she began drinking, smoking, and she said no boys liked her because of her weight. So she became sexually promiscuous at the age of 13.
Poor girl.
She thought it was the only way she could have a boyfriend. By the age of 16, she was pregnant, and in January of 1988, she gave birth to a baby boy. But they put that baby up for adoption.
I mean, it's probably for the best, but...
She goes on to finish high school and became a LPN, a licensed practical nurse. So she was doing pretty good for herself.
Yeah, she's good. I mean, to this point.
Yeah. She worked part-time at a local nursing home and full-time at a veterans hospital. So she was a worker.
Yeah.
After dating several men, including a sailor and a bar bouncer, Riggs began a relationship with Timothy Thompson, who was stationed at Tinker Air Force Base. In 1991, she learned that she was pregnant. She told Thompson about the baby the day before he was discharged for service.
Oh, my God.
Thompson at first wouldn't accept the baby as his own, so he moved back home. Left her alone. So she rekindled a relationship with a sailor named John Riggs. She said that relationship was great. He treated the baby like it was his own baby. That baby, Justin, was born June 7th, 1992. Riggs, Christina Riggs, she wrote, "As I held Justin in my arms and looked into his little face, I became so scared. Would I be a good mom?"
Oh.
John eventually moved in with her, but the relationship was troubled from the start. She was pregnant again, and on their wedding night in 1993, she miscarried the baby.
Oh, no.
So we've done stories about this before, how miscarriages and stuff like that really have an effect on a woman's mental health.
Oh, yeah.
The marriage teetered on the verge of divorce. Riggs said she became depressed and suicidal, She was prescribed birth control, and the doctor prescribed her antidepressant. She said she started feeling better, and she stopped taking the drug. I don't know what birth control does mentally, but I thought that was odd they included that. Maybe it had some kind of reaction with the Prozac?
I don't really know. I mean, it'll help. It depends on what kind of birth control. I think it definitely helps regulate your hormones at times.
That's what I was saying. Maybe that's what...
which would help with your emotions on like on a different level than the Prozac. Prozac will help with like mental stability and like it. Mental health is difficult to explain, but yeah, I mean, it's a different situation completely. Plus, I'm sure they probably thought that she needed to be in a better place prior to her getting pregnant again. Yeah. Get her well.
Yeah. Her mother, Carol, said that her daughter confided in her about her depression, but minimized its effect. So she told her mom that she was depressed, but said really just shuck it off as nothing. Which you would do. You don't want to tell people about your... Yeah.
Yeah, I don't talk about mine. I talk about mine openly, but I don't tell everybody all the gory details. So.
But Riggs became pregnant again, and in December, she gave birth to a girl, Shelby Alexis Riggs. Aww. Riggs wrote in a journal, "We were so happy. She was so beautiful. I didn't think it could get any better." Aww. She said her husband was full of so much love for her. In 1995, Riggs said that the hospital assigned her to work at triage, just a short distance away from the Oklahoma City Murrah Federal Building, where Timothy McVeigh bombed it.
Oh, crap.
So she said from that, she suffered post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
Which I could see where that would happen.
Anybody would, yeah. That's gotta be awful.
There was a daycare on the bottom floor of that, and a lot of kids were killed.
Oh, no. Holy crap, I didn't think about that. And being a mom, I'm sure that hit her twice as hard because she was thinking about not only like all of these people too, but like what if this happened to my own kids? Yeah. God bless.
In the summer of 95, the couple decided to move to Sherwood, Arkansas, where her mother was living.
Okay.
They hoped that her mom would help them with daycare. Riggs got a job at the local hospital where her mom worked. Both children had health problems. She said the girl Shelby had a lot of serious ear infections, and Justin had ADD and hyperactivity.
Same.
Said that made him a handful. The marriage between John and Christina was struggled. John finally moved back to local Oklahoma City after he punched a child.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God, who would punch a child?
Well, John punched Justin in the stomach so hard that he required medical attention.
Oh, poor baby.
According to court documents, Justin was crushed by this. Justin would say, "My daddy hurt me," and then he went away.
Oh.
From then on, Riggs' financial circumstances got way worse. Child support payments from John were pretty much non-existent.
Yeah.
She worked long hours at this new job at Arkansas Heart Hospital and as a temporary at a nursing agency. Her bills mounted. She said in an interview, "The more you work, the more you need daycare. Then you feel bad about having to leave them in daycare." She said she dropped off her daughter at the daycare for the first time, and the child cried as the mom went away. Riggs started getting behind on her bills because she was having to pay all this money for daycare. She wasn't making a lot of money, especially being a single mom. It was really straining her.
Yeah, going from a 2-income household to a 1-income household, I'm sure is a huge difference.
So she wrote some hot checks. Her car registration expired. She realized she was going under. She said, "I started out in a boat with a small hole, but the hole kept getting bigger, and no matter how hard you bail, you just kept sinking. I was tired. I gave up. Suicide seemed like the only thing." Her mother said she sensed something wrong about her. But when she asked, her daughter said, "I was just tired. I'm working too many hours."
Well, I'm sure it's easy to become... You're prideful at a point like that. You don't want to tell anybody that you're in over your head because then that's admitting defeat too. You know?
Yeah. On November 4th, 1997, Riggs gathered drugs from her job. She took the painkiller morphine and potassium chloride from the heart hospital where she worked. She also took needles, syringes, and her doctor had prescribed her an antidepressant named Elavil. Mm-hmm. So she had that. And on the night of November 4th, 1997, let me make sure I have those dates right, about 10 p.m., Riggs gave the children the Elavil she had mixed with water and made the children drink it. Elavil is a sedative that put them to sleep. She then placed the children in their beds. So, she then injected Justin in the neck with undiluted potassium chloride, a drug that is used in open heart surgery to stop the heart from beating. But if it's not diluted, the drug causes extreme pain and burning sensation.
Oh, no.
So Justin woke up and cried out in terror.
Oh, no.
So he's in a lot of pain at this point. She takes the morphine and tries to inject him with morphine to quiet him down. Had no effect. So he continues crying. She takes his pillow and smothers him to death.
Oh, my God. Poor baby.
Then she goes over to her daughter's bed. She decided not to use the potassium chloride because the pain had just caused her son.
Yeah.
So she suffocated her daughter with a pillow. She then placed both the children side by side in her bed and covered them with a blanket.
Who does that?
She then wrote a suicide note to her mother and her ex-husband. The note said, "I hope one day you will forgive me for taking my life and the life of my children, but I can't live like this anymore. I couldn't bear to leave my children behind, to be a burden on you, or to be separated and raised apart from their fathers and live knowing their mother killed herself." She then took 28 of the antidepressants, normally a lethal dose, and injected herself with enough undiluted potassium chloride to kill 5 people.
Oh, my God.
The antidepressant took effect and she fell unconscious on the floor. The potassium chloride burned a hole in her arm as big as a silver dollar.
Ooh, ow.
Yeah. So that stuff really messes up your veins. It's just,
Yeah.
all that happened in less than 30 minutes pretty much. So the next day, Riggs didn't show up for work because she worked with her mom at the hospital.
Yeah.
So after her mom got off, at this point, she probably got off at 4 or 5. It's probably been at least 16 hours later or whatever.
Yeah.
Her mom calls. She's not getting a response, so she drives over to the house.
Mm.
She knocked on the door, didn't get anything. So she let herself in. She goes in. She finds the children, and what she thought was Christine was dead. She said, "All I could do was turn around, scream, and holler." She said there was no way to describe how she felt. She called 911 and said, "My daughter and her babies are dead." Paramedics and police found Riggs barely alive and took her to the hospital nearby in North Little Rock.
How did she survive through that?
I don't know.
That is insane.
Yeah.
That is so much. Like, that trauma.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine.
Really surprised me that she survived.
Oh, my God.
Doctors stabilized Riggs and pumped her stomach and moved her into intensive care. While she was at the hospital getting treatment, the police were at her house searching. That's where they found the syringes and the suicide notes.
Of course, yeah.
So they decided to keep her under guard. The police weren't letting anybody see her. Her family demanded to see her, and officers tell them that she was incapable of seeing them because she was in no condition to talk. The Sherwood Police Department had instructed police officers and hospital staff not to permit her to talk to her family. So shortly after that, the family got an attorney. Mm-hmm. The attorney contacted the police department and told officers not to speak with Riggs without him being present. Which you always know, never talk to cops. I mean, it sounds like we're criminal when we say that, but nothing ever good happens talking to cops without a lawyer.
You said don't ever talk to cops. Like, just don't talk to
No,
them.
that's probably good too. Just don't talk to cops. I like cops.
If you see one on the street,
I like what they do.
Don't say hi.
It's just best not to, especially if you're doing a lot of bad stuff.
I mean, if you're doing things that you're not supposed to do already and you know it, it's probably best not to divulge that information to somebody.
If
but
you ever watched the show 48 Hours, those detectives can get a confession out of anybody.
Listen, I really believe that those are the kind of people that like are in the same group as Hitler. Not in that way. You think of
Let
this
me shut Keisha's mic off if she's going to start talking about Hitler.
No. Because, you know, he was the kind of person that could, like, convince anybody of anything.
Yeah, he was a great
like,
public
and get
speaker.
Any information out of anyone. Like, what's his name? Oh, what's his name? California. We're going to talk about this sometime, I'm sure. We listened to a whole podcast on it.
Abraham Lincoln?
No. Charles Manson.
Oh, yeah.
Like him. Like, great speaker. Like, super personable.
Charismatic.
Like, charismatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure, like, these cops who can get any information out of people are the same personality type.
I'm just saying lawyer up.
Yeah. So you gotta be careful if you're gonna do bad things, y'all.
But they tried. But detectives went into her room anyway.
Yeah.
They read her Miranda rights and proceeded to take an 8-minute statement from her.
Oh my God.
At times, she went from crying uncontrollably to talking. She didn't know where she was or what day it was delusional and hallucinating. Riggs admitted to killing her children and explained the details of the killings together with her attempted suicide.
Oh my God.
Minutes after the detectives left, the doctor came in and found her unconscious and was difficult to wake. He found that she was still suffering greatly from the effects of the drugs and was not aware of what was going on. Shortly thereafter, she was charged with capital murder of her 2 children and moved to the county jail.
Oh my God.
She pled not guilty by reason of disease or mental defect. So...
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
She wasn't stable.
Usually suicide, I mean, I could see that.
A person who is mentally stable does not try to commit suicide.
And kill their children.
Yeah. Well, especially that, but yes.
Yeah. But before her trial, Riggs had her attorneys try to suppress the statement made to the detectives on the basis that her statement was involuntary because of her drug condition and because her family had retained an attorney for her. According to her motion, taking a statement under these conditions violated her right to due process of law and right to counsel.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if any, to me, that's 100% true.
Yeah.
The trial court denied her motion and found that after listening to the recording of the statement, there was no indication that she was hallucinating. I have the statement, though. I'll read some of that in a minute. It's pretty rough.
Oh, man.
At her June trial, Riggs contended that she was not guilty by reason of mental defect. During her trial, she said that her life was collapsing under the weight of being a single mother. She had been arrested on a bad check charge and threatened with jail time if she issued any more bad checks. To me, that's almost... Sorry, the snakes got out again. But that's almost like debtor's prison almost.
Yeah.
Because people get into a spiral of writing bad checks. Mm-hmm. Then they get tossed in jail for bad checks. And then they get court fines and failure to appeal. It's just a way of keeping a man down. But she claimed that she was having trouble getting child support from her child's father. She was working 12-hour shifts at the hospital, but it wasn't enough to cover daycare and other expenses. She said she had to pawn her television and VCR just to have a birthday party for her child.
No. Those poor babies.
Yeah. She said she was severely depressed. She also claimed that the sexual abuse that she had suffered as a child really messed with her and gave her a poor self-image.
Well, of course.
Yeah. Christina would not allow her attorney to put any more of a defense, saying she wanted to die. The prosecutor saw Christina much different. He said, essentially, is that even a word?
I don't think so. No. It's okay, though. We forgive you.
What the jury saw was that she was self-centered and she viewed the children as an inconvenience, and she had planned the murders for several weeks in advance. Well, of course she did.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, with depression, you kind of have, what is it?
Ebbs and flows.
Well, and like suicidal ideation, whatever, where you focus on that when you're not in a good state, and it just keeps adding and adding up, where you just you think of it as something that's going to be a good instead of a negative.
Yeah, a lot of people do that just in their daily life too, like
Yeah.
the call of the void, they say. Like,
Yeah.
you're driving on a highway and you think, oh, well, I could just pull over into the semi and I'll be gone, or standing on the edge of a cliff and think that you just jump off. I mean, everybody kind of has a think that suicide is just a way to solve their problems.
It's like the easiest way out.
Yeah. And
I get it.
I mean, I could see, you always hear people say it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, but suicide is a problem, it's a lifelong problem that people that don't have depression don't really understand.
Yeah.
So I could see where this depression that she was going through.
Sorry to make this a mental health episode, guys, but, we understand. We're not saying that she did what was right and that she did, what she needed to do, but we understand where she was coming from and feeling that that's what...
Yeah, her...
In feeling that way.
Yeah, she's completely screwed up, but... The detectives and the prosecutor said that she left them alone in the house for hours at a time while she went out to karaoke bars. They said that she placed the interest of the children below her own. She placed her interest above the interest of the children.
Yeah.
So, well, pretty much saying that she put partying and having fun over the well-being of her children.
Man. Which, I mean, mamas need breaks sometimes, but you don't just leave your children alone.
Yeah, that age.
Yeah. You gotta, get a babysitter, call grandma, have them stay the night. Don't leave your children alone for hours upon hours so that you can go to a karaoke bar.
Yeah. The prosecutor then played an 8-minute long confession tape.
Jesus.
That described in chilling details how she planned and carried out the killings. And I think the only way for me to do this is really just read the majority of it. That
Hit me
way.
with the high points.
Yeah.
Or the low points. You know. Whichever.
I don't know. I've really covered a lot of it earlier, but I think I'm just going to read it.
Okay.
So I'll kind of paraphrase it, I guess. But first, the detectives went into her hospital room and read her rights. And they said that, let's see, let me breeze through here real fast. They asked her if she understood her rights, and she said yes. She said that I do, and I'm sorry. The detectives then asked, do you know what we're investigating? Do you know what happened? She responded, I killed them. The detective said, what did you say? She said, I killed them. She said, I'm sorry. How did you go about doing that? I got some bottles and stuff. I need a cigarette. Are you saying that you got medicine from the hospital? She didn't respond. How did you do it? I gave them an injection. I tried to. I did with Justin because I figured he was the oldest one. He would give me more trouble. I tried it with him. I thought it would stop his heart, but it hurt. Oh, it hurt. He said it hurt so much. It didn't work. He just started calling, Mama, Mama, Mama. I feared it was too late now. I had no place to turn back to. I just cleaned out my checking account and gave it all to my mother. I had to. The detective asked, why? Why did you do this? Because I wanted to die. I didn't want to die and leave my kids behind for them to be somebody else's burden. I didn't want them to think I didn't love them. I didn't want them to grow up separately with different daddies. And I knew if I passed away, They would be fighting my mother for custody, and I didn't want that. So the detective, he asked her, you felt like you were doing this for your kid? And she said, yes. The detective asked her, did you really want to die? They said she started crying. So the detective then said, and you felt it would be better if your children just die? She said again, yes. She said, how long had they been dead before you took the medicine? She said, about 20 minutes. She said, that's because I drank and got up and smoked a cigarette and sat for a while. She was like, okay, I'm going to do it now. Then she wrote a note. The detectives then asked her about the timing, and she said that she gave it to them around 10 o'clock, and they were both dead by 10:30. So then she told them she smoked a cigarette, and then that's when she let's see, let me find my spot here, because this is really long. If I read it all, we'd be here forever.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get down here. Yeah. Here's where we get back to the kids. Sorry, folks. I'm sure this is entertaining. But she said after she suffocated Justin, then she went to the daughter's room and suffocated Shelby. The detective said, you suffocated Shelby? And she said, why did you do that? So because the medicine did not work on Justin, so she didn't want her to give her any trouble.
Oh, no.
Said, what kind of medicine did you give him? Then that's when she described to the detectives that she had gave him the antidepressant mixed with water to knock the kids out. Then she suffocated him with the pillow. So, let me find... Then the detectives asked her where she got to the hospital, and she admits to stealing them from the heart hospital. And then it kind of gets where she's got a lot of inaudible stuff. Mm. And she starts kind of talking about odd things. Like at one point she asked if they rode up the escalator, and the hospital doesn't even have an escalator.
Well, she was not... I mean, she's coming down off of this medication.
Yeah.
She's probably groggy, not necessarily fully awake. You can't really expect her to be in her right mind anyways.
I mean, she's not going to be coherent, but a lot of this stuff in these details, it's pretty...
I mean, yeah, I mean...
Like the detective said, she went from crying to flipping a switch and talking about it perfectly normal. Mm. So, I mean, it's really tough. To me, this is a tough one. Just because what do you do? But the detectives then told her to go on, and she said why. They just kept asking why through all this. Because these detectives, they've seen a lot of stuff. They've seen the crime scene, and I know that this probably affected them.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure they wanted the full confession, as much possible information as they can get from her.
Because they know they need that confession.
Before they get in trouble for asking her anything else.
She finally said, I couldn't take it anymore. I felt like I was out of control. My life was just a mess. And then she gets a lot of inaudible sayings, and then she tells the detectives that people just keep getting on the elevators and escalators away from her. So she goes back to that odd hallucinations, I guess.
Yeah.
Then the detectives say that this concludes the interview, and they left their room.
Which, I mean, they said that she wasn't lucid. Like, she was asleep when they came back, right?
Yeah.
So maybe she was going in and out of dreams as well.
Yeah, I mean, she was still under the effects of these drugs.
And she could have very well been dreaming about it as well, and then dreaming about something else, or,
She took 28 of these pills.
God bless. That's got to do something to you.
In the detective's research, and I guess the prosecutor, they found out that she was never a nurse at Oklahoma City. And there was no evidence of her being on the scene of the bombing or treating anybody.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So
what?
She made that up.
What? So what did she do?
Nothing. She was just a nurse at a hospital in Oklahoma, and she tried to use that for sympathy.
Oh, Holy crap.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
So she's not a great person.
No.
But for some reason, I feel a little bit sorry for her. But at the same time, I also think that
I feel bad for anyone who has bad mental health, who isn't, able to get on the right medication plan and, get what works for them. But also, you have to take your medication like you're supposed to and not be a little jerk and lie about stuff. So
I felt bad until here, and then I thought,
oh Jesus,
that maybe everything that she had talked about, she was lying. Maybe she was just really manipulative, and she was really good at working people, and would tell them what they wanted to hear. Like what?
Is it like another Hitler?
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep bringing Hitler into it. Sorry, y'all.
Apparently, Keisha talks about Hitler a lot when she drinks, so who be mine?
Be mine. There's actually a card on the fridge over there that you could probably see right now, Wes, that is from Tiff. And she made me a Hitler Valentine's Day card one year.
It's so cute.
It's this. Okay, give me I'm going to brace myself. Give me the terrible.
Well, the jury then was showed photographs of her dead children in court.
Oh, God.
That, to me, that'd be hard.
I mean, that would be so hard for me to process. But I know it's necessary. For you to get the full amount of information that you need to convict someone.
Yeah, that to me, the pictures would be over the top. You had her saying she did it. All the evidence pointed to it. Why show the dead children? But, I mean, I know. But the jury, it was seven women and 5 men, took just 55 minutes to find her guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder. They said Christina collapsed in court on receiving the verdict. The trial now moved to the sentencing phase. Christina told the jurors, "I want to die. I want to be with my babies. I want you to give me to the death penalty." So they agreed, and I agree too. I mean,
no, I'm like, don't give her what she wants.
Part of me thinks
suffer.
Stay the rest of her life in prison. To me, that would be better for her. Yeah. The judge also agreed, and they sentenced her to death by lethal injection. Christina thanked the judge.
Thanked the judge.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, she was still suicidal though.
Yeah.
So she's like, well, it's like medically assisted suicide.
The execution date was scheduled for August 5th. These filters are not getting rid of my snakes. But
it's because the snakes are something that you just...
Snakes and drinks.
When you drink, you just drag out your S's anyways.
Yeah, when I get drinks, I get snakes. She did not allow a motion for retrial. Wait, never mind. I'm sorry. See, this is the booze.
The booze is finally hitting his system. Second drink in.
She did allow for a motion for retrial, claiming that she did not get a fair trial because of her police confession. Which I kind of agree with her. That was kind of a shitty way to do that.
She still got what she wanted.
Yeah.
She wanted death penalty.
I think a lot of these death penalty cases are instantly appealed.
Yeah.
The way that works. But I think you instantly get like an appeal to look over everything, make sure everything's right. Okay. Just because we have passed where like people like Lena Baker and that little George Steiny and a lot of people like, well, even old Jesse Tafaro. Mm-hmm. They all get railroaded and don't get an instant appeal.
So, and that makes sense, yeah.
But anyway, they decided, let's just kill her. So Christina was the only woman housed in the female death row at the McPherson unit in Newport, Arkansas. I had no idea the female death row was in Newport, Arkansas.
I didn't know that either. That's crazy.
On the way to Little Rock, you will often see the sign for Newport. So we'll have to drive by that prison sometime. Yeah. We probably won't.
I mean...
I bet it looks a lot like a prison.
I mean, you're probably going to be asleep anyways, for starters. And even if I do drive by it, it'll probably be one of those excursions where I get lost and we drive by it and we're like, oh, hey, That was the prison that we
Yeah.
talked about that one time on the podcast. And now we flew over a speed bump.
Mm-hmm. That happened, yeah.
Only that was at a school, not a prison. Sorry.
Same thing, yeah.
Close enough.
In prison, she had a pretty good life.
Of course she did.
She was allowed to watch TV. She read several books a week, which her mother sent for her. And she was allowed to exercise in a small cell outside. So it's like she went from cell to another cell, like a dog cage.
Yeah.
But she should be treated like an animal because she was an animal. Sorry, I turned the hate bell on.
Yeah. We need to get that hate bell, babe.
Yeah, ding. But
Ding.
she was allowed to meet with visitors occasionally. You can really see the level of booze when it finally started sinking in on me here. I think I went pretty good.
You were doing so well.
And then it's like, you know what? Screw her. I'm going to... Give me another one, Keisha. Let's kill this old hag.
Such a good thing that the alcohol's downstairs.
Yeah, it was all the way down there, or I would have more booze. But
We're
anyway,
almost done. It's almost refill time.
this old hag actually got visitors.
This old hag.
Yeah. And anytime she was taken from her cell, she was handcuffed, and she got to look through a little window, like a zoo, because she was an animal. So people looked at her through this window like an animal she was.
Can I just ring the hate bell like every single time we talk now?
I hate this woman. I think that her everything was a lie.
I mean, it's very plausible.
Yeah. She was interviewed a lot. She liked to talk, especially about herself. So when she was interviewed, she said it's so hard to deal with what she did to her children. She said, in my cell, there's a mirror, and I have pictures of my children taped to it. She said, I'm eager to die. I'll be with my children and God, and I'll be where there's no more pain. Maybe I'll find some peace. Well, bitch, if there's a hell, you're going to be there.
I don't completely agree, but I don't completely disagree. Because you never know. I don't know. You don't know. That's not up to us to decide.
Well,
But I definitely do not believe that she should be in heaven. But that's, again, not my choice. So.
I'm just thinking if you're up there and you're getting judged and you're...
But, okay, religion lesson. But Jesus washes away all of the sins of those who ask him for forgiveness. It doesn't matter which sin is which. All sins are created equal, right?
Really?
So, I mean, this is just what I've been taught. I might be wrong.
I'm sure you're
But-
closer to the truth than I am.
But, I mean, so if all sins are created equal, I don't know. Are all sins created equal? I don't know as much as I should. Maybe I should talk to a preacher about this. But...
Well,
You
the
know, it's
Drive-By
not-
Truckers actually have a lyric in one of their songs. I'm going to do that story later.
Okay.
Is there vengeance up in heaven, or are those things left behind?
Huh.
So,
Or is this like a seven levels of hell? What is the
well,
circles
she would
of
be
hell?
at the bottom.
How many circles are there?
Is it like a tree? You cut hell in half and cut the rings?
Booze. There was a... Oh,
We
was
were
it 7
both-
or 9 circles of hell? 11? 13?
I think that's a hotel.
The Hell Hotel.
Yeah. Gosh, we derailed the shit out of this. Anyway, she was in jail, and she said it was real tough when she was in county jail and with general population because none of the inmates liked her.
Oh, of course not.
She said they would
Honey.
spit on her and cuss her.
They probably should have.
Well, all these women were separated from their kids, and she killed hers.
Yeah.
She said lifelong incarceration is a waste of tax dollars and a torture for an inmate who can only live prison feet first.
Oh, my God.
She said she often wishes that she was only doing a 10-year stretch and that her children were still alive. I'd give anything to have 10 years if I just knew my kids were on the other side of the fence waiting for me. Of course, because you got caught. I mean,
Yeah.
I see that she tried to kill herself.
Well, and I can get it, like, if you're in a different place mentally, like, you feel bad for doing this, you completely regret it, you realize, hey, this wasn't me, this was the depression that killed them, like, it was me that did it, but, you know, it was because I had I had chemical imbalances in my body. I can see being like, yeah, I wish that this would happen. But also, like, you've got to admit that you're the one who did this. And this is your reality.
Yeah.
Like, this
the
is your
rest
life
of her
now.
life in prison would, to me, I think a lot of times people living with that in prison and solitary confinement is a better punishment than killing them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these people like her welcome death.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Old Mike Huckabee, he reviewed the case, but he decided that, no, just go ahead and kill her. And, you know, I'm with Mike on this one. I mean, I know that we just talked about that, and 5 seconds ago I said let her stay in prison the rest of her life, but also kind of want her to die. So...
Not shocked.
Yeah. She was flown... ding, 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 ding. She was flown, which I thought was kind of odd. They fly from Newport to, I think it was Pine Bluff at the Cummins prison where the death row's at, because they don't execute them in Newport.
Here's the thing, though. Because if they are in a vehicle, that's a chance for them to escape, and then they could potentially hurt multiple other people other than the person just in the vehicle with them. So if they fly them, there's less of a chance of them escaping or them hurting others to kill them.
Or maybe just take her out back and shoot her like a...
Okay, well, continue. We're not going to talk about that.
Put her down.
Ding!
Like Old Yeller.
No, don't talk about Old Yeller.
Yeah, I know. That's
so sad.
But after she took her plane ride to Pine Bluff, they said that that was 3 days before the execution. The day of the execution, they said that she was calm and cooperative. Her final meal, here we go, Keisha.
Yes.
I know how much you like
Last
final
meal.
meals.
I love it. Tell me.
Oh, she really pigged out. She had a whole supreme pizza, a cherry limeade, and a strawberry shortcake.
Okay. You and the strawberry shortcake.
That's 2 strawberry shortcake. She did not have whipped cream this time.
No, whipped cream.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed.
Whipped cream was... Oh my, she had a whole supreme pizza.
Yeah.
Like a large or like a medium?
Let me see what
like
it says here.
personal
Let me check her
pan
Domino's order history.
pizza.
I don't know, Keisha.
Well, you said it like she had like a whole like
it was a supreme pizza.
Large
you don't call a little pizza supreme.
I think supreme is the one that has like everything on it, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
I was thinking like a big pizza.
Doesn't matter what's on it. It's just big. It's going to be the supreme.
Well, what it is now is stomach contents on an autopsy table.
Well, true.
Yeah.
How long do they wait?
I don't know.
Before killing someone, do they let them poop it out first?
I think they make them wear a diaper, so if they do poop, yeah.
Okay, I need to know this information. I'm sorry,
the
that's probably
movie
really gross,
Monsters
y'all.
Ball, Puff Daddy, or P. Diddy, he was in that
Whatever he
movie,
goes
and
by
they were
now?
gonna fry him in the electric chair, and they put a diaper on him.
Oh, okay.
And then that one Ted Bundy movie, they stuffed cotton balls up his butt and put a diaper on him.
What?
Yeah.
That is insane.
I don't know if it was true, but...
I need to learn so much about this. Okay, there's so much research I need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But after she ate her supreme pizza, could be little, could be big.
It's the supreme of the coven.
It was the supreme.
That's the supreme.
They took her in, strapped her down, and they had a hard time finding a vein on her because, she had straight potassium chloride ran through her veins.
Yeah.
So it kind of fucked her veins up. And they finally, after 16 minutes, got a vein.
Oh, my God.
And her last words on the gurney were, "There is no words that can express how sorry I am for taking the lives of my babies. Now I can be with my babies as I always intended." She also said, "I love you, my babies." 9 minutes later, she was dead. The potassium chloride that she had tried to run through her veins that years ago was now used to actually put her down. Because that's one of the chemicals that they use. That Arkansas uses 3 different drugs in execution and lethal injection. Like one to knock them out, one to slow their breathing down, and one to stop their heart.
Oh my God.
And that third drug is the one that finally killed her. And the director of the ACLU in Arkansas put out a letter after her execution saying helping her commit suicide is not what we should be doing.
Well,
and I do agree with that.
But, I mean...
But do you want somebody like her living? That's the line. It was like, I agree that prison for her would be worse, but also I hate her so much that I'm glad she's dead.
I can see both sides of that.
Yeah, I
mean, I definitely would want her to suffer for as long as possible, but that's just me and my baby loving heart. But
keep her in prison for 20 years. As much as she hated prison, maybe keep her there for 20 years and kill her.
Yeah.
That way we get both of us happy.
Okay.
Everybody but Christine gets happy in that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. For her to lie about the Oklahoma City deal, that
would piss me off too.
Yeah, that just made me think that, because we see a lot of these people like this are really manipulative. Kind of narcissism.
Yeah,
they're people pleasers.
I don't think.
Well, they're
people pleasers.
Maybe I'm thinking sociopaths, where they kind of blend in like a chameleon. They tell people what they want to hear.
Yeah.
So she was probably doing that.
Yeah.
Sorry, we've had a lot of booze, so we're probably not the best people.
Because I was like, people pleaser is me, and I'm not like her. But I'm also not a sociopath, so we're good.
Yeah.
I just like to make people happy.
By
talking about murder and ghosts.
We sure do make a lot of people happy here. You're still listening. I do have a little bit of a palate cleanser story for you.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, this guy in Michigan, it was late at night. Well, first of all, let me start back over.
Okay.
He went into this adoption agency, and he saw a puppy that he liked in there.
Okay.
And he went to try to adopt this puppy, and they wouldn't let him because you had to pay $75 and do all this stuff.
Okay. You got mad because we were going to adopt a puppy.
We tried to adopt a dog, and these people wanted $150 for me to get a dog.
To walk through our house.
And they wanted me to fill out all this paperwork.
And Wes is not very patient, y'all.
No, I'm not. I don't even wait for food.
He is not. We do not wait for food. If there's more than a 15-minute wait, we're gone. But yes, continue with your story, sir.
But they probably wanted this guy to fill out all this paperwork, wanted them to come check out his house. So he's like, no, that's cool. So he goes back later that night and steals the puppy.
What? He stole a puppy?
Yeah, he broke in and stole the puppy. There's security camera footage of him taking the puppy out, not even trying to hide his face.
Oh my God.
It's the cutest picture ever. So he runs out with his puppy in his arms.
Oh my God. This guy really wanted a stinking puppy.
I love it. I was like, I can see that.
You.
I see this crime. I'm all for. Steal all the puppies you want, but don't talk to the cops about it.
Maybe cover your face. Maybe don't break in somewhere.
Oh, he was smiling ear to ear with that little puppy. The puppy was cute, too. But the sad thing is they caught him because he wasn't a very smart criminal. Like, I mean, if I was in a puppy stealing mood, I probably would just go in there like, give me all the puppies, too. I'd take a couple of cats, too.
You have. We're going to be those people with like 7,000 pets. It's fine.
But he got caught. I don't know if he got to keep the puppy. Surely he did. I think better not take that. If he went back for that puppy, I say give him the puppy.
I feel like I think you say that, but I feel like they probably were like, this man has committed a crime. He does not deserve a puppy.
I think if the trial goes to the jury and they show the smile on his face when he was taking that little puppy out of there, nobody could convict him. Well, Keisha, give them the recipe for all of what this beautiful, tasty drink that we had tonight was.
So basically I made a fake margarita.
Oh.
Ish drink.
Ish.
Listen, I don't know how to bartend. I just pretend like I do. Let me use the Google real quick and find out what I made.
I thought you had it rolled out. These people can Google shit.
No, it was an ounce of tequila, half of an ounce of triple sec, and then I just filled the rest of the glass with orange juice. And then I put lemon juice in it. and then I spat in yours.
Oh, thanks. I probably needed that.
I thought you'd appreciate it.
Get me a drink, woman.
Oh, dear sweet baby Jesus, please don't ever say that again.
I won't.
Oh, heavens. All right, well, so thanks for listening, even though this has been a little bit difficult to deal with this week.
I think we got through it pretty good.
Yeah, that was just a lot.
Could be, I guess, that the booze kicked in midway, and I kind of forgot what I talked about during the first half.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Well, as always, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher.
That's the important
You were
ones.
already listening to us, so I'm sure you know where to find us, but share us with your friends,
Yeah,
please.
tell the friends.
We are contactable. Easily contacted at...
Give us your digits, girl.
You got mine. You can email us at tequilaandterror@gmail.com. Send us suggestions. Say, hey, I really liked the episode. Hey, you kind of smell.
The girl was
You
good.
know.
The drunk redneck was mildly entertaining.
Really? Okay. Please rate and review us on your podcast app, because we need
it might
more
help.
podcast reviews like that one, because that was definitely my favorite. If you don't know what we're talking about, look at our reviews.
I think for our 10th episode, we're probably going to do a giveaway.
Okay.
It's like it may be a gift card or something. If you like and share our page, we'll give you an entry. If you subscribe, we'll give you an entry. And if you review us, we'll give you an entry. And we'll throw all those names in there for a gift card to Amazon, probably.
Yeah, we'll discuss it on our social media pages and let you guys know. You can find us on our social media pages at Tequila and Terror Podcast on Facebook, at Tequila and Terror Podcast on Instagram, and I guess we've given up on Twitter. I think we're at Tequila Terror.
Yeah,
I might find
still
the
don't
login
remember.
and
I'm
log
probably
in
going to
for
give you that.
Yeah,
Twitter to me is just a cesspool.
I like Twitter.
I hate it.
I tweet a lot, mostly about the raccoons that live in my attic, but.
I think
You know.
we're still planning on doing a show from the Crescent on Valentine's Day. If those plans could possibly fall through.
Okay, not on Valentine's Day.
But near it.
Close to, like, a Valentine's adjacent episode at the Crescent. If you
Yeah.
guys are interested in that, let us know. And thanks for listening.
Maybe I shouldn't have brought... I may delete that part.
Okay.
Just because I don't want to spill the beans on it yet.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think you were going to tell people about it.
Oh, well. I probably won't, but...
All right.
Bye.